Hey guys, what's going on? Mike Klett from CrossFit Prototype here again. Just want to go through an exercise or a drill that you can use for yourself, or if you're a coach, trainer, whatnot, or even a therapist, use as an assessment tool to test if someone has, some relative stiffness or some stiffness, some issues going on at the upper back, lat area with a shoulder flexion exercise. So a couple of different ways to do this. We like to start from the ground and then work our way up to the wall. This is something I picked up from Eric Cressy at Cressy Performance. Great guys over there. They know a lot of stuff. They deal with a lot of pitchers and athletes, especially from a shoulder population, athletes that are throwing and a lot of that sort of thing. The shoulder integrity and joint health is super, super important. So, for here at Prototype, we have a lot of athletes, a lot of members, and a lot of exercises that we do that involve bringing the arms overhead. So we want to make sure everyone can be in a good position when they're overhead, regardless if they're pressing a bar overhead or hanging from a pull-up bar. So nice exercise that we like to do just as a general assessment. We're going to have someone lay on their back. So what we're going to do from here, we're going to lay on your back, and what we keep people to do is keep the lower back on the ground. So notice how I'm bent at the knee, my feet are flat on the ground. I'm not arching my lower back, so my lower back is on the ground. If you're a coach or a therapist, you might maybe want to cue this before or after, just so you can kind of see how the athlete moves at first, then cue them afterwards. But regardless, lower back's got to stay on the ground, so we're not creating any extension of the lower back. And then from here, what we're going to do is we're just going to have the athlete flex at the shoulders as much as they can, trying to get their arms to at least optimally 180 degrees of shoulder flexion. Now, if they can get there, awesome. Come back. And then we can start taking a look at what other things are going on if they start to flare the ribs and overextend. So someone that might be really stiff, that can't necessarily get their arms or thumbs to the floor in this flex position, in order to get there, they might overextend the lower back and flare the ribs. Now this happens, if you think about it, if you're going to bring someone into a standing position and have them press a barbell overhead, they're going to typically transfer that force into their lower back if that bar is overhead and they're overextending at their lower back. So we want to make sure to cue people to maintain those ribs down, lower back on the ground, and see if they can get those arms to the floor. So if they can't, if they can only get to here, now we know that they might be limited in some shoulder flexion, and from here we might need to do some further evaluations, getting them into some soft tissue work, or in general not allowing them to press a bar overhead or hang from a bar or hang from a pull-up bar, because it might not be an appropriate exercise. So once we go to the floor, now we're going to add gravity into it, and we're actually stand up and go to the wall. So an exercise that we do almost every day here at Prototype is an exercise called back to wall shoulder flexion. So you can use it as a assessment exercise, just like we're doing here, or you can also use it as a mobility drill as well to get some good upward rotation of the scapula. So basically what we're going to do is you're going to set up against the wall, head against the wall, so we want to make sure that there's no forward head going on, head's against the wall. Lower back, just like we did on the ground, lower back is on the wall. Pelvis is relatively tucked in, so we have a nice neutral spine. We'll start with the hands out in front, arms come up, and we try to get those arms to the wall. Now I have a little bit of stiffness in my lats, haven't done too much soft tissue work today, so if I was to try to get my arms overhead, especially if I was under load, again, from the floor, I might overextend my back to get my arms to the wall. So notice how my lower back is now off the wall. If you take a look at my arm, it is against the wall, but if I was to put my lower back onto the wall, keep my ribs down, my shoulder then comes back down and my arm comes back down as well. Okay, so especially if we're overhead with some significant load, this can increase our risk for injuries to the shoulder, but also to the lower back if that's where we're transferring the force. So a couple different, not different, but two separate assessment, shoulder flexion assessment exercises that you can do for yourself to see if it's appropriate for you to go overhead. Then from there, if it is appropriate, then by all means, have at it. Thanks.